Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Front Row Politics. I am Gimba Umar. Today, we're going to be focusing on the leader of the Conservative Party in the United Kingdom, Kemi Badenoch, and some of the comments that she has made over the past week or two as regards to Nigeria and her hometown, to which the Vice President of Nigeria, Kashim Shettima, has equally responded in bits. But joining us to dissect the issues is Dr. Daniel Bwala. He is indeed the spokesperson to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on policy and communications. I want to thank you so much indeed, Daniel, for coming on the show at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. British will easily call it, should we start with the Shakespearean way, saying that this is much ado about nothing. But we did hear Kemi Badenoch. But before we go deep into those issues, let's look at, Daniel, the administration, which me and you looked at some times back, the Kemi Badenoch administration and what it portends for Nigeria. What are your views now that she has made these sweeping statements on Nigeria?
Well, thank you for having me. You see, the story around Kemi Badenoch, to me, is not surprising because for people who know her and are probably following her political trajectory, they will understand why she made the comment that she made and expect, in fact, more of that in the coming days. Because, like people will often say that politics is about numbers and about people, and the art of politics is the art of persuasion. The demographic that you're looking to impress or to convince to vote you are the ones that primarily will influence your philosophy of the politics and even your talking point. Kemi is doing exactly what she needed to do to get the buy-in of the demographics that she's hoping she'll get their support, which in this case are the people in the Tory party, the otherwise called the Conservatives in the United Kingdom. People who are familiar with politics in the UK will know that the Labour Party is a party that is akin to the Democratic Party in the US. You know, they are progressive-minded. They are the ones who are open to evolution, whether in life, in politics, science, and technology. That's why sometimes what they promote is often seen as antithetical to culture. They are the ones that promote immigration. They promote exchange, globalization. And they are the ones, I think, in their philosophy of politics, they believe that the world is a global village. So they are always welcoming of foreigners and immigrants into their country. Now, the conservative think otherwise, just like the Republican Party in the US.
In the United States.
In the US, yes, United States. So if you see the way Donald Trump used immigration and the economy as his strongest tool heading to the election, it was reported that he did not even score as much point in the economy as much as he did in immigration. And all he needed to do was to just keep putting the rhetorics that will provoke the anger of the people against the people they claim are coming to affect their economy or to come take their jobs. So that's actually the philosophy of Badenoch. Now, if this is the philosophy of Badenoch, then all the countries of the world where you have large number of people migrating to the United Kingdom are likely to come under that backlash. You remember this guy called Donald Trump once said, countries in Africa shit all countries. What she's saying is not far from there. The reason she had to say much about Nigeria is because she's trying to detach herself from Nigeria and the politics in Nigeria so that the demographic she's hoping to convince or to win will think that she's actually a great departure from what would have been their fears. So I'm not surprised at what Kemi said. I for one does not think that she mean what she said, but again, I can't conclude because sometimes it is from what you keep saying that you form your belief system, and before you know, it affects your way of life and even the way you relate with people.
I can say it did affect her, Daniel, because our Vice President Kashim Shettima responded to those sweeping statements that she said. As a matter of fact, let's just get an extract from what Mr. Vice President said in his response. He said that Badenoch can also remove the name Kemi, which is a local name in Yoruba, her tribe, and that's her tribal name. And then he also said that as far as the world is concerned, Nigeria remains the biggest and largest black nation. No one can change that. So that is a response that is very strong, wouldn't you say, and one that could actually affect Badenoch.
Yes, but I agree with that 100% with what the position of the vice president, because vice president is being protective of the nation and the integrity of the Nigerian people and our culture, our value, and what makes us what we are or who we are today as a people. I like that defensive approach. But when you said that it is going to affect her, that then becomes relative because it will affect her image in Nigeria, it will affect her perception in Nigeria, but it may not significantly affect her as far as the United Kingdom is concerned, with primarily the conservatives. Yes, there are a number of Labour Party supporters or citizens of the United Kingdom or residents in the United Kingdom who share a different view. They might feel that this her rhetoric could as well affect them. Because Rishi Sunak just lost the election. Rishi Sunak is from the Indian heritage, but he never condemned, denigrate, or said bad things about. In fact, as a matter of fact, when he became prime minister, that's when the United Kingdom officially accepted this yearly celebration of the Hindus. So that's how far the society is. So a lot of people expect that Kemi would have used that as a catalyst to bring the Nigerian culture, the Nigerian people, the Nigerian value to the front burner. She think otherwise, because if she bring that kind of conversation, whilst that may be popular with the Labour Party, they won't vote her because she's conservative, and then she won't get the conservative to vote her. It's an unfortunate comment, very, very unfortunate, deeply regretting and troubling. But she is well aware of what she's saying, and you can see with the way she doubled down, she didn't look like she was prepared before her last comment, prepared to backtrack from what she said. In fact, she's prepared to even double down in the coming days, because the more you hate her, in her probably in her psychic, the more you hate her, the more the people in the United Kingdom who are anti-immigration, who are anti, the taking of jobs by foreigners, the more they will love her. So this is the politics she's playing. Identity politics. Unfortunately, the politics she's playing may affect other people who are from her own cultural heritage,
Indeed.
but who
But
unfortunately do not belong
Daniel,
to her party.
let's take a first look at the point where she made those the exact statement. She said that I find it interesting that everyone defines me as a Nigerian. I identify less with the country than with my specific ethnic group. I have nothing in common with the people from the north of the country, the Boko Haram, where Islamists is. Being Yoruba is my true identity, and I refuse to be lumped with the northern people of Nigeria who were our ethnic enemies, all in the name of being called a Nigerian. What do you make of that statement from
That
Badenoch? I
statement,
mean, on the one hand, she said that she's not going to be caught up in all these shenanigans, if you will, but on the other hand, she's still claiming that Yoruba is still her tribe.
yes. So what she's doing is that, again, she's trying to feed to the narrative of, okay, in other words, she's trying to build a base in Nigeria, the same base that she has in the United Kingdom. And what she is doing shouldn't be surprising to us, because we even have for somebody in Nigeria doing it in the guy who ran on the platform of Labour Party. He was only technical in the way he communicates, but deep down, when you see his followers who are doubling down on this ethnic rhetoric, and ethnic bigotry, he never, on many occasions, he was asked to condemn them, and he said he will not. So it's like populism around the world now is a path to victory, and people are bouncing on it. Unfortunately, that keeps dividing us across so many lines. It can be religious, can be regional, it can be ethnic, it can be racial, and it is very, very disappointing. But because we have a population around the world who are having discontent, so you will always find the base that will support what you're saying or doing. What Kemi said, especially this one you quoted, cannot be supported by anybody. I give you an example. The president of the Republic of Nigeria is from Yoruba extraction. He governs a country that comprises of all tribes, religion, and ethnic nationalities. All through his political career, he developed a political base that cut across Nigeria. There is not a single politician in Nigeria today that can say he has a broad base, followership or political ideology than him. And that's an understanding of what politics is all about. Because one, I said what she's saying is deeply troubling is that we are together as a nation, right? We are on a journey to a better Nigeria. Just like in the United Kingdom, they have what they call working towards a better union. There can never be a perfect society. Even when you come to your own ethnic, enclave, you will discover that if you dig deep to look at differences, there will still be difference between. Take for example, people from Ogun might have some distinctive characteristics from people from Oyo, and you have another one people in Lagos. So the more we look into the things that divide us, the more we'll find many excuses and reasons for us to stay divided. But I think that what unites us should have been or should be our focal point and our focus in the way we run things. So it's quite disappointing. And I actually thought that with this particular part of the comment that talks about the North and they're using a paint to brush everybody as if the Northerners condone the Boko Haram. Meanwhile, they are the victims of the oppression of the Boko Haram. So you are further victimizing the victim. You are further creating more hate on those who suffered most. You can tell that the northern Nigeria, especially the northeastern Nigeria that she talked about, suffered this insurgency and insecurity more than any part of Nigeria. It is hard for me to imagine how a part of Nigeria will be welcoming of people who killed their loved ones, their family members, and the rest. It's a regrettable statement, but I look for opportunity to engage her, if possible, to get her to retract that. It is okay for her to say that she's anti-immigration. She doesn't think people from this country should come to the UK. That's all right. That's political issue around issue of policy. But when you come to ethnic bigotry or even religious bigotry, then you are crossing the red line. And I hope that doesn't cost her in the sense that there might be people who are from Nigerian descent who are in the UK, also maybe in the conservative, who will feel that you've gone beyond the line, the red line. There is always a red line. In the UK now, the reason she's popular is because she doesn't have a red line. And so those who are racist in their own enclave, but who cannot summon the courage to do that because society in England has gone beyond that, would love to finance her, would love to support her because she will feed into those things that they feel deeply, about. So I
Well,
look for opportunity when she will retract.
Daniel, my apologies if I may butt in there because if you take a census, so a tally about the responses of Nigerians about Nigeria today, it may not be very palatable for you or for me in that sense. But when she begins to make examples of when she grew up, where she grew up, where she could hear the neighbors being attacked by armed robbers, and then this boggling that is happening, and then there is just so much fear. She said she lived in a society of fear. What do you make of
Mm.
that, Daniel? Does this not underscore the need to introspect, as your opposition party, the PDP, has rightfully said through its presidential candidate in the 2023 presidential elections?
Let me be honest with you. What she's saying, especially with respect to living in fear and the rest, is a lie. I'm sorry that I have to use that word, but I use it advisedly because Kemi Badenoch was born in the UK. She came to Nigeria and lived till she was 15, I think, before she went back. Around the time she was born, her family members were not living in the Kilburn area. They were not living in Mayfair. They were not living in Zone One. Actually, most likely, if you probe, they probably were living in Peckham, Lewisham, or in Woolwich. These are boroughs in England and London in particular, where you have the highest crime rate. So it is hard to imagine that you will be condemning Nigeria when the part of England that up till tomorrow you see this kind of crisis situation. Do you know car theft in England now is very frequent? In fact, they steal people. That's what's happening. So the way she painted the picture as if English society is devoid of crime and Nigeria is crime infested. So she fell short of saying Nigeria is a shithole country. So maybe there are extremes in the things she's saying, but I don't want to personally, and people will have different view. Personally, I don't want to condemn her. I see a rising young Nigerian female who is trying to find her path politically, and happen to find herself in a very terrible situation. And this politics she will learn over time. But I feel that her rise in England is going to create some form of inspiration for the girl child in Nigeria to understand that we are about to witness history in the making. Never been a black or woman of color becoming the prime minister in England. She is the leader of the conservative that just lost election, but have better chance of winning the next election. I would rather be happy.
Do you think that Nigerians, Daniel, do you think Nigerians should be upset at her comments?
Yeah, sure. Now, the Nigerians are already upset, and I think it provides her the opportunity to do a walk back. I know it will be difficult for her to do at the moment. I have watched one or two TV shows in England where the whites were actually condemning her comment very vehemently. I'm talking of whites, not Nigerians in England. So her comment is out of order. I am hoping that she might be challenged on Wednesday in the Prime Minister's question. And I am looking forward to that, where probably Keir Starmer or somebody will challenge her on this rhetoric. I have a very strong feeling that Keir Starmer is going to raise that as a talking point to hit at the conservative because of the comment, because it generated, a lot of backlash against the Conservative Party because of her. Look at the Conservative leaders that related very well with the Nigerian communities in England. David Cameron, his last term election, he was actually going to redeem program in London and different parts of England. He recognized the importance of the black population in England. And then you look at other, leaders from the Tory party, they did well. But also historically, the prime ministers who turn out to be very tough, and some people will use the loose sense to say very dangerous to others, such as Margaret Thatcher and the rest, they came out of that Conservative Party. So I welcome the opportunity for her to be corrected. If she failed to retract this comment, that she will be corrected in the Prime Minister's question. But I don't want to use this few comment that she has made today to condemn her entire political career. We all make mistakes in politics, and I see that as a mistake.
All right, Daniel, there's something she said, particularly again, that will rattle you if it hasn't already, when she made reference to, the immigration laws. I think you touched on that a little bit in the beginning of this interview. But can you be clear on what it portends for Nigeria under a Badenoch government if she becomes the Prime Minister of the UK tomorrow?
So,
Do
right.
you see Nigerians being free enough or having an advantage, knowing that
Actually,
Kemi is Nigerian, or will these statements which he has made that are really indeed sweeping, will they affect the relationship between Nigeria and the UK?
Well, in terms of the relationship, matters of diplomacy, I don't know. But in terms of specificity, such as immigration law and immigration, I know that Nigerians will be the ones that will be worst hit by that, because she needed to do that to convince the white population in England that she is tough on immigration. And she has made that point clear in her recent interviews on immigration. She said, this is her belief. The idea that people will migrate to the United Kingdom, but instead of embracing the United Kingdom culture, instead of integration, they are talking about there's this concept they are using. They said they prefer integration and assimilation. Meanwhile, the Labour Party, they are promoting what they call diversity. So, for example, she gave an instance. Somebody who comes from the Middle East become a British citizen. He will hate British way of life. He will hate the laws of the United Kingdom. He will want to impose Sharia law that is in the Middle East in the United Kingdom. She said that idea will never work. If you are ever going to qualify to become a British citizen, you must show that you are assimilating completely the British culture, the British way of life, the British, what she called fundamental rights. Those rights that relate to probably gay rights and the rest. Those things have to be in place before you can be eligible. So she has tougher immigration law that will affect people. Remember, Donald Trump started it in his campaign. But when Donald Trump became the president, he has had to adjust. Look at in the recent election, you saw all the things, you heard all the things he said. But right now, one of his appointees is gay. So there are certain things she will find out when it runs full cycle. That look, the demographic you're seeking to convince to vote you cannot be the only set of people that will bring you to power. There is still another half of the British people that you will need their vote, who do not buy this deeply rooted hate speech and rhetoric that you're pushing. So I don't think it will be justified. But I know in terms of immigration, Nigeria, there will be tougher immigration law against Nigeria. Already, the prime minister that left, already Rishi Sunak, when he introduced the Rwanda law, you saw how it affected people who come from East Africa, South Africa, and then even part of West Africa. They are touched on education. So when they do a comprehensive immigration reform, let me tell you the areas to affect Nigerians. Before now, if you're a Nigerian, you are traveling for masters in England, you're entitled to come with your family. They've stopped that. The Tories stopped that. It is only when you're going for PhD. She might come and even stop that or PhD. So the route to migration to England might just be one, highly skilled, which means it will close the window for people who will come into England to study and then leave, or somebody that will come through sports or whatever. So the immigration law will be toughened against the black people, and especially Nigeria, because she will want to prove a point that she is anti-immigration.
Okay, Daniel. She also touched on the politicians in Nigeria, saying that Nigeria is running a socialist state. If I remember, that's very clearly that's what she said. She said this is socialism, even though it's been disguised. And then she's lashing out at the politicians, saying that they've been amassing monies into their own pockets to the detriment of the growth of their people. She's very upset and very categorical about that. Daniel, is she wrong?
So well, I would say she's wrong because she generalized issues. And you can't speak like that as a leader. If you generalize, so if we're going to generalize issues like that, we're going to say the United Kingdom is a shit hole country. Because the knife crime in England is far more than some of these crimes you see in Nigeria. And then you can escalate. They are even talking about double standards of policing in the United Kingdom, that the law is applied disproportionately based on race or based on gender or whatever. So the problem of corruption is in every part of the world. Corruption is deeply rooted in the United Kingdom. That you know how to use modern terms or modern styles of hiding corruption does not make your own. So it's like in the US, when you hear lobby, lobby, dig deep into some of the things they call lobby. They are not far from what in Africa we call corruption. So I think that she used a general term that is very disingenuous to people who are not susceptible to the things that she's. How can you say Nigeria is a socialist state? I mean, if you look at Nigeria, we promote free enterprise, we promote rights of ownership of assets and property. That's why we have the richest African as a Nigerian. You can't be the richest African as a Nigerian in a socialist economy or in a socialist state. And in fact, British is more socialist than Nigeria in the real sense of the word. Because if you see their welfare system, we don't run a welfare policy in Nigeria. People have to work their ass out the way people will put it in the in the loose word. You have to work your life out. In the United Kingdom, many years ago when I was studying, I used to have a friend who we were going to the gym before, and then he stopped coming to the gym. One day I asked him, I said, "Why are you not coming?" He said he just got a job in the warehouse, and that the job in the warehouse is more than gymming. That by the time he finishes for the day, that can suffice for him for 1 week. But he said the intriguing part of that is that all of them who were working in that warehouse were masters and PhD students. The supervisors over them were boys that did not go beyond secondary school, but they are British citizens. Is there any welfare something more than that, where they are giving council houses because they don't have jobs, where they tax everybody and give everybody everything? So if you are looking at it from the stricter sense of economics, I think that United Kingdom is more socialist than Nigeria. Again, this come to the issue of careless statements. So she will get to learn that. Either she will learn it early enough to be sharp as a politician ahead of the election, if it will happen in the next 2, 3, 4 years, or this might likely be her downfall politically. Because when the party becomes unpopular by virtue of this rhetoric, then definitely the party will decide a new leadership.
Daniel, what, in your view, should be the way forward to, if you will, get BADENOCH off the hook, just so that she realizes her mistakes, if they are mistakes indeed, because her spokesperson says that she stands by her words. That's
Yeah.
exactly what's the feelings that we are getting. But
So this,
if you were to give her some advice, what will it be for a way forward?
if yeah, well, if I'm assuming I'm an advisor, the first thing I would tell her is everything has time and stage. Yes, you have a demographic you want to feed with this dangerous food. so they can be strong enough, but they can also be, they can turn to be monsters tomorrow. And then two, the world has changed. The world has moved on. You cannot bring back medieval laws just because you want to win election. But above all, I will tell her, if she continue to flow in this path, it is very likely that it will get to a point where the party will revolt against her leadership and they will have to change her. That is what I see as, because it will come to a point where the Tory party, the Conservative, will be seen as a racist political party. And once they are painted like that and the conversation continue to dominate the media space, then they will have to do something about that. And in this case, they will have to conduct another election. You know, in England, tomorrow morning, they can do another election, say the people don't have confidence in you. That's why over the last 2-3 years, they just 6 or 5 prime ministers. And the Tory party, they are very good at that. So she has to be careful. Otherwise, she may not live to see her dream, which is to become the prime minister of England. And she should also apologize to Nigerians, because Nigerians differ. To use one paint and brush a whole region of the country and then use the next paint and brush the whole country itself, it's wrong. She comes to Lagos every now and then for polo. If Nigeria is that bad that she's talking about, she can't be coming with her husband and her children, for God's sake. So, and if you, all you need is just to visit her past videos and the rest, you will see that there are a lot of contradictions. Probably what she's doing now is to deepen on this deeply rooted hate whatever that is seen in the Conservative Party.
Okay, Daniel, perhaps next time we'll be able to ask you this very important question, which is, what is the government, your government, doing now to try to, restore confidence in itself, and such that, number one, the Japa syndrome is totally off, and people feel comfortable living, working in Nigeria, making a living, and the likes. But this will be a good place to let it rest. I most sincerely thank you, Daniel Bwala, the spokesperson of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and indeed the special advisor on policy and communications. Thank you so much indeed for talking to us, and to everyone who's been watching this. You can also watch it on our Facebook page as well as our Instagram page. We're going to have some parts of it on our TikTok page much later. We do sincerely hope that you're able to catch up with some of the hard facts that Daniel Bwala has given us on this very issue of Kemi BADENOCH and her comments on Nigeria. Thank you very much indeed, everyone, for watching. And thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Thank you.